All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site exclusively for legacy death and taxes. And today we are going to be streaming with Waterfalls. This is one of those deck names that requires an explanation. So, the idea of a waterfall is that it's something that keeps cascading downward, right? Well, that's what we want to do with this deck. So our goal is to cast a Bloodbraid Elf, and then to cascade into a Shardless Agent, and then cascade into some other spell. So we are this huge value-oriented deck. This deck used to be 4 colors. It used to be able to run a whole bunch of things like Abrupt Decays very, very easily because of the support of Deathrite Shaman. And now that would be really stretching the mana base far. So I want to thank, yes, this is Mark from Reddit for helping me track down some deck lists, because pretty much no one's been playing Waterfalls that I could find post Deathrite Shaman ban. That user managed to track down 2 decent deck lists for me, and I took one of those main decks as my starting point. So if you kind of just take a look at how this main deck is built, you'll see that it's meant to fight fair decks. We're not going to win against the unfair decks in game 1 most of the time. That's not the plan. So for unfair stuff, we have 4 cards. We have 3 Force of Wills and a Vendilion Click. That's what we have to beat the fair decks. So we give up game 1 there. But it's the fair decks that we're going to bully. Like, we have Bolts, we have the Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willow combo, we have a Braid, we have Tarmogoyf, which is going to be bigger than most of their creatures, Jitte, True Names, and then these value train things that are just going to, wreck my opponents. In case you're not familiar with, decks that are playing these Cascaders, one of the best things to cascade into is Ancestral Vision. You just get to draw 3 cards, and then you don't have to suspend it. So a lot of times you'll use your Brainstorm to set up an Ancestral Vision on the top of your deck, and then use a Bloodbraid or a Shardless Agent to just go into it immediately and get 3 cards. So looking at the sideboard, the sideboard is built to hate on the combo decks, because we're not winning game 1. So I think the combo decks of the moment that are really good are Dredge and Reanimator, and then Ant if you know what you're doing, but maybe not Ant if you don't know what you're doing. So we have a full play set of Surgical Extractions to bully on the graveyard-based decks, and then we have a handful of counterspells that can't be cascaded into because that's super awkward. So I have 2 Mindbreak Traps and a Force of Will, as well as a Vendilion Click to also just kind of have a disruptive threat, Echoing Truth to bounce some permanents if we get into something like Reanimator or Show and Tell, where they just put something massive in. I guess Izzet Charm also falls into the, counterspell anti-combo thing, but because it has a looting mode or a 2 damage to a creature mode, it's actually pretty good at doing something if you cascade into it. If you cascade into it and you just loot, that's still some value. Not the best value, but it's better than cascading into, say a Flusterstorm or something like that. And then I just have 4 generic cards that I thought were good. Because most of the time, if you're playing against any sort of fair or maybe even controlling deck, you probably won't need to sideboard very many cards because you're built to beat those. So I have a generic Pithing Needle for things like Planeswalkers, Tireless Tracker for your control matchups and other grindy things, similarly Sylvan Library, and then I shoved a Compost in here for lulz. This card was really absurd the last time I played a green deck that could reasonably run it. And if we play against something like Dredge or Reanimator or Grixis Control, this will be disgusting. So I probably don't need this because I'm really value-oriented. But I just thought, if I play against Dredge, this gets me to a Surgical so quickly. And I figured this was a good way to do it. So, Compost is Phil's new pet card in any deck that can't run Sword of War and Peace. Man, it's been a little while since I've gotten to play Sword of War and Peace, which is really disappointing because, I love that card. I love, love, love that card so much. But there's like a lot of Baleful Strix running around right now, and it's just not good against that. It's great against Miracles, which is a decent enough reason to run it, and it's also very good in the mirror. But D&T is not doing particularly well online right now. It's not really showing up in any of the challenges. I'm still seeing it every once in a while. But I think a handful of the less experienced players are really getting beat up by Grixis, Control, and Miracles. Because, like, if you play those matches really, really well, you can do fine. But if you're making mistakes and flubbing, your opponent's like card advantage can bury you pretty easily. I think a lot of people who aren't adapting to beat those decks are really struggling. Maybe I'll play some D&T later this week and show everyone how it's done. So the reason I'm playing Waterfalls this morning is because this was chosen as my giveaway. So on Halloween, I did a giveaway, and someone was going to get to choose what deck they saw on stream. And the person who won said, hey, how about it's just chat's choice? So we had a poll, and Waterfalls was the thing that won. So let's get into some matches and have some fun playing some Legacy. I've been playing a lot of 4-color Loam off stream. So I think I've done like 4 or 5 leagues in the past few days. I think I got a 5-0, 2 4-1s, a 3-2, and then an 0-3, where everything that could go wrong went wrong. RUG Waterfalls. Let's Cascade. And I know my deck list is a little bit weird today. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in chat. And remember, you can also hover over the Cardboard Live extension on the left-hand side of the screen and click on the little cards there to reveal my whole deck list. All right, Rooney56. Do I have any data on you? Has recently played Grixis Control and Reanimator. Those are very different decks. Assuming they're playing Grixis Control, I love this hand. Assuming they're playing Reanimator, we're losing game 1, so I'm going to keep this hand. I'm not really sure whether I'm supposed to, like, lead on Trop or Valk just based on the nature of the deck. I think it's about a wash. My mana distribution's about the same. We'll wait. We'll wait. I'm probably going to save this Force of Will to protect my Ancestral Visions, but if my opponent plays something really annoying like a Planeswalker, I'd throw the Force out there. The awkward thing is that, like, I don't really want to pitch Shardless Agent because that's a nice value-oriented card. Oh! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Well, this occurs. and we'll continue to hang out. If I had drawn a land, I would have, like, attacked into Grizzlebrand and tried to, like, bolt and abrade it. It's very possible I just die here, like my opponent just, like, casts another Show and Tell for an Omni, or casts a Sneak Attack and Emrakul's me. Just end it, or draw 7 and let me bolt you in response and steal this game. That'd be cool too. I guess it'd have to be like draw 7 plus fetch. Alright, so this should be intuition for Emrakul, and we're done. Alright, so like I said, we're not meant to beat combo game 1. It's just not happening. Force is fine, click is fine. Is it charms? Actually, I should probably do this the other way around. I should probably figure out what's really bad. No. It's kind of a wash. I'm going to board a lot of cards. So I might end up boarding some number of surgicals, keeping intuition in mind. And I also might board the Sylvan Library. Let's start figuring out what I really don't want. I really don't want Jitte. I really don't want Abrades and Punishing Fires. Those are like the absolutely I don't want to draw those cards. I also don't really love Lightning Bolts. Like, just throwing them at the face to try to finish the opponent quicker is a strategy, but not necessarily a good one. And I probably want to board out a few creatures for a couple of surgicals. I don't really want to go too overboard here, because I don't really want more than like one of these in a game, and I don't necessarily even want one. But the surgical is probably better than just like a generic 3/1 do nothing. It's possible I should even trim a touch more than this to play it like another surgical or two, but I think this is fine. So this has counter magic, but I can't actually do anything with it. So we'll ship that one back. Jeez. Alright. We're not going to win this round, chat. Hey, Ken, welcome. Ignore the next 30 seconds while I die, and then we'll play a real game of Magic. This one's rough. If this was any blue land, like any land other than like Wasteland, or I think I would run one other like non-blue basic, this would have been fine. Alright. I will take a brainstorm. maybe spicy isn't quite the right word, but like it's an old archetype, but one that doesn't get a lot of love. I'm gonna try to hold this brainstorm for a little while. Like I've got a couple of counter spells up, and I'd really like to draw into a land here. How does the mana base work without Deathrite? Essentially, the deck used to be 4-color, and now it really has to be 3. In playing 3, I can play with Noble Hierarch and more or less mitigate that. If you were trying to play 4, you'd have to play like Birds of Paradise. I don't really think that this is a game where I want to play around Blood Moon effects. I think I'll just accept that I'll lose to that, because I really need double blue here, and I don't want to fetch Island. Okay. It's possible I should like wait to do that in response to like a show and tell, but I felt like being proactive, at least to some extent, was probably a good idea. All right, now let's brainstorm and see what I can set up. Rough. So I'll put back land, play Tarn, suspend this, and hope for the best. Now, I don't really have that many double-colored things, so I guess at this point, I can fetch an island. Although my opponent clearly doesn't have Blood Moon. Blood Moon would have just been a slam dunk play. Do I want to counter that? I don't think I do. I think I'll let my opponent have that. Like I have 2 pieces of interaction. If they cast a spell, I cast Click in response. And then I have Force beyond that. My current plan is end of turn, click them. Unless what I see with their Cunning Wish makes me want to change that. Morning. All right, yeah, intuition. This is the slow get to the combo piece that I'm missing route. Oh, Beseju. That's scary. But guess what? So this makes it not able to be countered, and this just exiles the spell. It doesn't actually counter it. So Mindbreak Trap's actually really good in this situation. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that happen, I think. So now if my opponent casts more or less anything that I can counter, I'm likely to just force it and then try to hold up Mindbreak Trap to get whatever their, like, good card is. Please tell me this is coming off now. Nope. Oh, but we have 2 Mindbreak Traps and Force of Will. And then this comes off next turn. Oh, neat, it's got a cute little clock on it now. So we let the intuition happen. And then I give them whatever spell they want to get. Then they'll... Okay, so they get a Show and Tell. Now they'll cast the Show and Tell uncounterably, but I'll counter it with Mindbreak Trap. And then whatever, like, piece of backup they use to get rid of it, I'll force. Come on. Work. Work. The counterspell is not a counterspell. Will it do its thing? I wonder if opponent is sitting there going like, what the F? Am I really losing to this? That's what I hope they're saying. Gonna give him a smiley face in chat. Maybe that'll help him think. Alright, so Flusterstorm is the counterspell that beats me here. So I can't pay 3, I can only pay 1, and then I can force 1 copy. So this is just gonna occur. Force doesn't beat Fluster. And I can't just force the Show and Tell because it can't be countered. Now if my opponent puts in Omniscience, and it, like, casts whatever thing they want to do, then I'm in business. Alright. Omniscience. You got it. Should probably just counter that. Like, I don't want them to just, like, find Emrakul and then take an extra turn. If that was a bait spell and their last card is gas, so be it. Alright, there's hope, chat. Well, This is an interesting spot. So I can force back and just take my draw 3, or I can hold up force for a creature that they could cast. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. If they draw an instant or sorcery, I can't counter that. So I think I'm just going to take this here and get my cards. And hopefully draw into something that's meaningful. Alright, so now I have a force up, so great. And hopefully we can blood braid into something cool next turn. I will pretty much 100% be willing to surgically extract Grizzlebrand. But, like, let's see what happens here first. Ah! We're doing it! We're doing it! This is exciting. I have so many things on the stack. Ooh, a chase! So I don't really want this land. I don't really want this Noble Hierarch. Unless it changes the clock, actually. So I can hit my opponent for 4 this turn, which would put them down to 7. Then I can hit them for 5 next turn. No, it's going to be a 3-turn clock either way. So I don't want this, and I don't want this. This can resolve. This can resolve. I'm going to go ahead and, like, preemptively fetch. I'm going to get an island so I can still cast Jace even if my opponent Blood Moons. In case my opponent draws any counterspell, I want to surgically extract now rather than in their draw step. Alright, so opponent doesn't have moons against me. That's good to know. I guess it doesn't make sense to, like, bring in both moons and Beseiju if Beseiju is going to be really good. Alright, so there's 3 Emrakuls that matter as literally the only things in the deck that I care about. So that's cool. Oh no, one Cunning Wish. So my opponent has 4 hits in their deck. Actually, I'm thinking now, maybe I should have kept the Noble Hierarch, because they would be at 7, and then they take 5 and go down to 2, and I would have shut off both Ancient Tomb and Boseiju. Yeah, I guess Intuition does just go and get those things. So I can probably Jace, Brainstorm, and find a blue card for Force. But maybe it's just better to Fate Seal. I have so few cards that I care about. Intuition gets Emrakul. I will put that on the bottom. Yeah! Man, what a game. Yeah, so like the Force of Will is awkward with the Boseiju around. Because like if my opponent wants to try to like resolve something, they 100% can just do so with Boseiju, unless it's like a creature, but then Emrakul can't be countered anyway. Um, I wonder if on the draw I'm supposed to like play a couple more surgicals. Like countering something and then surgicaling it is pretty strong. And like it's also just good against intuition. How many intuitions did my opponent have? So there's 1, 2 here, plus 1 in the graveyard. So my opponent has 3 intuitions. This is the strangest looking D&T deck, in fact. I could see playing 1 more surgical. I guess we can cut 1 elf. Surgical is good against magic cards. You think my opponent can beat a 4 of a kind? They can probably beat a 4 of this kind. So that's a fetch land for my Brainstorm. So I guess I'll keep that, but it doesn't feel great. Tarmogoyf's a fine legacy card. Like, every time people stop respecting Tarmogoyf, it just comes back and whacks someone in the face for 6, and they go like, ow, that card's good. Like, drawing four of a lot of legacy cards in your opening hand is really bad. Like, even if it's something, you know, that's, like, great, like Swords to Plowshares, when you have 4, it's rough. I'll Brainstorm at my opponent's end of turn if they don't do anything that I need to react to this turn. Okay. Alright, so now I have a reason not to just slam Jace this turn, which is good, because I really didn't want to just slam Jace. I'm hoping to Mind Break Trap whatever my opponent does on their next turn. Oh, come on. Intuition for me. Intuition for me. Yeah. A show and tell. Well, I'll give you a show and tell. I'm just going to extract this now, I think. Like, my opponent has one more in their deck. They're probably not going to draw into another on their draw step. So let's just do this while they have less mana up to work with. Force Pitch Omniscience. So I can just Mind Break Trap this and get all of their show and tells out. Or I can try to Mind Break Trap the show and tell. If they have another counter, they'll beat me. Either way. So again, I should probably do this without giving them more resources, be that more mana or more cards. Oh, this is any number of target spells. All right. How do I tell whether or not I've targeted this? Am I literally getting no indication whether or not I have targeted this visually? Well, I hear a sound. All right, so they have City of Traders, Emrakul left. All right. So my opponent has one unknown. Tarmogoyf's a 3/4. Jace is probably just better than Tarmogoyf. So I can Brainstorm, or I can just Fate Seal. I think I want to Brainstorm the first time. Kind of like polish up his hand a little bit, try to find a counter spell, and then from there Fate Seal. awesome. So I'll put back... I'll put back Bloodbraid Elf and Wasteland. No, Bloodbraid Elf and Tropical Island. Play Wasteland. Waste them, have Force up. The only way I get punished for using that Wasteland is if they, like, draw a Boseiju. Alright. So now let's Blood Raid into something. Oh my god, I can't cast a Bloodbraid Elf. Alright, I need green, I need red. So we get past the Tropical Island that I put on top of my deck. Echoing Truth. No, I don't want to return that. Alright, no value there. Fate Seal my opponent. Red Elemental Blast. I will bottom that. More because it can, like, get rid of my force than because it can blow up my chase. The Brainstorm's fine. I'm going to try to counter basically sneak attack. What do you think I'm doing today, if not chasing waterfalls? So I'm going to pause here for a minute like I'm thinking about it. And then go no. So I'll play out a Noble. Give me one more point of damage. Alright, opponent fetches it away. And on Magic Online, you don't actually get to see what your top card was, so opponent doesn't get to, like, actually, like, try and figure that out. Like, on paper, you know, if you fetch, you can look at what your top card and see whether or not your opponent was mind gaming you, but here you don't get to. Mindbreak Trap has been pretty decent today, yes. Voldalian War Machine, that's very possible. Jeez, they had Force, blue card, plus Emrakul as their remaining cards. That's total daggers, if that's the case. Or is this just, like, I'm taking this opportunity to go and resolve this while I can. Okay, that's indeed what it was. All right. So basically, any cantrip goes to the bottom. I have lethal next turn, so I can only whack for 6 here. I hope this is just a fake out and they didn't just naturally draw Emrakul. Okay. What the fuck? Opponent's just bad, right? So they have a red mana up. On my turn, they could have sneak attacked in, blocked a Tarmogoyf, drawn 7 cards, been at a higher life total. All right. That's disappointing. All right, it is what it is, folks. Hey, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. Our opponent is probably playing something fair like Maverick or 4-color Loam. So I kind of have a choice to make. And the choice is, like, do I just want to lead on Ancestral, or do I want to lead on Noble Hierarch? If my opponent just has Punishing Fire, it's super, super bad to lead on Noble. So I think I'm going to go ahead and lead on Ancestral Vision. I'm also going to kind of hope that my opponent doesn't have one of their 2 Loams and fetch an island here. But I don't want to get Wastelanded. If I get Ghost Quartered, at least this replaces itself. Alright. One big boy coming up. That was an awesome draw. So now this can get me my forest. I'll just play out a Noble Hierarch here. Morning, Potentia, welcome. That's fine and not unexpected. Note that opponent's Knight of the Reliquary is not technically active right now. They don't actually have a Forest or Plains to sacrifice. Alright, go Shardless Agent, go little buddy, go! Punishing Fire. Alright, well we can't kill the Knight, so that'll go to their dome. And then we can get that back with Grove later. Now they'll return their Punishing Fire here, and I'll go back up to 16. On my turn, I'll play Valk and then use Bloodbraid. I don't want to expose this Grove to Wasteland if I can help it. Ooh, Bob. Bob might change the equation. Yeah, Bob is going to change the equation. So Bob 100% needs to die this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and go Jitte and equip on Shardless Agent. And this has a couple of upsides. Number one, like getting the Jitte counters is going to let me kill Bob. But the other upside is that right now, combined with like my Punishing Fire, I have the real potential to just kill Knight of the Reliquary. Chalice on 0. Boo. Why does my opponent have to be good? Alright, another Knight. You're right, I'm going to cast it. Opponent confirmed understands things. This Jace is sweet. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and take Knights off the table while that's something that I can actually do. This will give up the Grove and prevent me from doing this again. But that's fine. So now my opponent has the option to Wasteland me, use Knight, find a second Wasteland, and Wasteland me a second time, taking me off of all 3 cards in my hand. Just a little annoying. Playing around Wasteland is not free. This sort of thing happens. Note that if I draw any land, though, I'm in an insane position. So now my opponent actually can't cast this Knight. And if opponent misses a land drop, I'm actually very likely to just Wasteland them and then ride the Jace. Although Jace can get Punishing Fired right now. Yep. Maybe I was supposed to play that one turn more patiently. and like wasteland this grove and then like wait on the Jace. I'm gonna hold this drop in case I get a brainstorm. All right, Bob's a little scary. All right. So the Punishing Fire is currently in hand. That makes this Noble not good. So I'll put back Noble and Trop, intending to fetch those away. And I will play one big boy. There is a reason to keep the Noble Hierarch and to play it, and that's to play around Liliana of the Veil. But, like, over the course of 2 turns, that's invalidated by, like, Punishing Fire into Lily. Alright, Knight bigger than Tarmogoyf, which is a problem. We're hoping our Bloodbraid does something real sweet. Well, that's not all that bad. So I'll put a Grove 2 down, and then a Bloodbraid Elf. Tarmogoyf can't attack into the Knight. I am okay with playing out a Grove. If it gets wastelanded, it's not that big of a deal. That means their Knight isn't attacking, and that's actually what I care about right now. This game is going to get really interesting. I mean, it already is. Yeah, this game's great. Oh, Abrupt Decay on the Tarmogoyf. That occurs. What does that mean? I mean, I guess I'll take the trade. I'm not entirely sure whether or not my opponent's going to, like, wasteland me again. Chalice on 1. Okay. Alright, so my Brainstorms, my Bolts, my Ancestrals are all off. So this is where my opponent probably goes for another Wasteland or takes out my Grove. So now we'll cascade past the other Grove and see where we end up. Oh, baby! You know what card is really freaking hard for Loam to beat? It's True Name. That was super lucky. And my opponent's not going to have Tabernacle in game 1, and I already have protection from Liliana of the Veil, at least in the short term. 3 wastelands are in the graveyard. My opponent can wasteland me 1 more time. But they might need to leave their knight back, in which case I'll get to cascade again. Okay, I can take that off the table. That's fine. Well, it'll be less fine if I lose this volcanic island. How many Volks is that? That's Volk 2. I have 1 more Volk left. Oh my god. My luck. My luck here, chat, is absurd. I will choose my opponent. My opponent is very unlikely to have Deluge in game 1. Or even post-sideboard right now. Like, the lists just don't have it. Alright, Ooze is very good. I'd love to draw a red source. It's possible I should click away this brainstorm. But this information of what my opponent has is extremely valuable. Double Punishing Fire. Okay. Do I care about this Abrupt Decay? Not really. Like, Punishing Fire and Decay all kill Click. No, you can keep all that. My opponent also doesn't have that much land for Scavenging Ooze, so I'm effectively doing 1 damage a turn to them with True Name Nemesis, because they can currently gain 2. So True Name blocks this. I'm also just fine blocking. Am I fine with blocking that? So if I don't block it, it just gets Punishing Fired, and I get no value out of this card. But it takes up my opponent's mana, so they don't just grow Ooze. Would I rather them grow Ooze this turn, or Punishing Fire my thing? I'd rather them Punishing Fire my thing. I think. Yeah, because if I let them grow Ooze this turn, the next turn they grow up by 2 more, and they're attacking me for more damage. Opponent may decide to grow Ooze anyway, in which case, if I rip a land, I think I kill my opponent. Because I have 3, 6, 9, 12, and they can only gain 2 this turn. Yeah, so if I rip a red land, my opponent dies for taking this line. Okay. So this turn, these two cards are dead. I can attack my opponent for 6, put them to 6. They can then go up to 8. This is going to be tight. Okay. So, do I win immediately? The answer is yes. Let me just confirm. So, my opponent has 2 mana. They can go up to 8 life. I have 6, 7, 8 with Punishing Fire, and I think just casting Punishing Fire is safer than, like, trying to trap Cascade with Bloodbraid Elf. Yeah. My opponent will Maze Click, take 6 after gaining 2 life, or maybe just 1 life. Whew. And morning to you and happy Community Day as well. I'm sure that comment was from a while ago. Yeah, that was game 1. All right. So I like Library. I actually don't mind Echoing Truth just to bounce Giant Knights or Planeswalkers. It's really sweet to go and, like, bounce a Liliana of the Veil in response to its plus activation. I don't mind Tracker. Needle is okay for the Planeswalkers that are coming in. My opponent will probably have, like, about 3 main deck Liliana of the Veils, and then in the sideboard, an Ajani Vengeant, Lily Last Hope, and maybe Vraska, or some people say Nissa instead, but I like Vraska. So, like, what don't I want? I don't, like, we're going to be doing this, like, attrition value-oriented battle, so I don't really love, like, Force of Will. I don't even love Surgical Extraction. Like, it can get... Punishing Fire and Loam are annoying, but my opponent also might Chalice on 1. Chalices are probably getting trimmed. So maybe I should play a couple of Surgicals. Alright. I don't really love click either. Maybe I need to play about 2 surgicals. I'm going to keep this, but this is a hand that will be in big trouble if my opponent has an early chalice. Never mind. We're fine. I'm going to lead on the... I'll lead on the Trop. Alright, opponent is probably land light if they're not just going to snap Wasteland me. Alright, I have good cards. But I'm not really doing a ton in the immediate future. I'll bury the Punishing Fire 2 down. And then it doesn't matter which other card I take. Yeah, a Braid is a sweet Magic card. Please don't loam. So I'm like 100% playing a Tarmogoyf on my turn, and my lands are going to keep getting wastelanded, so I'm going to go ahead and brainstorm here, see if I can find some sweet stuff. Oh, we are so brainstorm locked. I'm in trouble. Alright, so I kind of need this Tarmogoyf to go all the way. The good news is that if my opponent dredges this loam, they have the potential to make this massive. Like, if they flip over, like, a creature, a planeswalker, and an artifact or something like that, all of a sudden this becomes a very real threat. Oh boy, opponent has Tranquil Thicket. I'm actually glad I drew Jitte because I can discard it to make my Tarmogoyf bigger. That's the world I'm living in right now. Yeah, opponent currently has no white mana, but Life from the Loam will take care of that. Shit. Now I need to draw a Wasteland. Once my opponent gets a Knight of the Reliquary in play, I'll concede this game when they show me their Tabernacle, because that's a card that will just destroy me. I have nothing to say about it. Like, when I have 0 lands and my opponent has Tabernacle and, like, Knight, I'm done. All right. We have the beginning of this. I'm not going to make them keep mazing. I don't want this game to time out. Like, that's not the way that I want to try to win this one, just by making my opponent do a few more clicks. I want to play this one out to its conclusion. Yeah, so Pyromancer, I know that they'll get it back, but me getting in, you know, an extra hit for 5 or 6 is pretty big. All right, now they, like, have a real win condition. I'm probably just dead. I'm going to go ahead and concede this one here. Like, they've got Liliana plus Loam. They get to destroy all of my non-basic lands from here. Like, they have an Edict effect for, like, if I just get to stick the true name somehow. Alright, so... didn't have a ton of time to think about my sideboarding before. Maybe I'll trim one more of my Punishing Fires and play a 3rd Surgical. I don't want to be, like, too results-oriented, because I did just, like, lose to Loam, but there's only 2 Loams, and my opponent probably only has, like, 2 of their 3 Punishing Fires in the deck still, so I don't want to go overboard on these, but those effects are very good against me. Maybe assuming that, like, these are just going to get killed, I can board this out and play something instead of it, like that other Echoing Truth I wanted to play. Although, I don't know, maybe the Hierarchs are important to, like, accelerate me out to these cards. Let's do that. How much do I love Sylvan Library? That's what this hand is. I think I keep this. I think I go fetch for forest, play Noble Hierarch. Turn 2, like, fetch for an island, play Sylvan Library. So, like, I'm immune to the Wasteland side of their deck, at least in the short term. My opponent is probably not playing Thoughtseize in their Chalice of the Void deck. Just gonna throw that out there. Yeah, this is an Ancestral Vision deck. That is correct. I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheels here, rather than just, like, resolve my Sylvan Library this turn so I can be more mana efficient. Alright, so I'll put back Trop, Valk, redraw my Valk. I have a Surgical for the first annoying thing that hits the graveyard. Alright, so I'm going to do something a little weird looking here. So I'm going to play out a Noble Hierarch pre-combat and then try to attack. If my opponent has Golgari Charm, I offer them a 2-for-1 and getting both of these Noble Hierarchs, and it gives my Shardless Agent a better chance of actually living, or my Sylvan Library a better chance of actually living in case they have that. And Merja, remember you can scroll over the Cardboard Live extension on the left-hand side of the screen and click on those cards in order to view the full deck list, if that's something you want to see. So now I have to play the game of, like, what's in my opponent's hand? They might be on some very expensive things like Ajani or Marchesa or Vraska. Alright, decay my library, that's fine. Yeah, I have been playing a lot of Loam off stream, and I 100% agree. Some people are cutting Golgari Charm from their sideboard, and I think that's stupid. That card's really powerful. I wonder if my opponent's just, like, super flooded or something. Or maybe, like, they still do have some of those fat 4-drops, and they just thought taking me off the library was important enough that it's worth skipping a turn. That actually still seems pretty likely. Cheesehead, expect more of that in the future. I'm really enjoying the deck. I think it's very good. I also think it's very difficult to play. Alright, Liliana of the Veil. At this stage, that's fine. Wow! Yeah! There's some argument for just, like, going to the face here. Punishing Fire. That's fine. All right, let's figure out what else is in my opponent's hand, and I'm fine just extracting this Punishing Fire right now. All right, Assassin's Trophy and Cabal Pit. Looks like opponent is playing approximately 74 of the 75 that I'm playing. I think they have Garruk, Relentless. Oh, no. No, they have that. So they're playing a very, very similar list to my own. All right, Assassin's Trophy and Cabal Pit in hand. So this next turn is kind of a nail-biter. If, like, my opponent can answer my Hierarch, and if they have one more turn of buying time, then Lily Minus gets rid of True Name. So whatever my opponent draws is absolutely huge here. Oh, geez, Life from the Loam off the top. So they get a redraw in Tranquil Thicket. A Golgari Charm would pretty much be game over here. One of my best draws would just be a Punishing Fire, so I can Punishing Fire Lily, and then just keep attacking my opponent. Bloodbraid would be a decent draw, yes. Echoing Truth is okay. Not great, okay. Alright, so let's attack and try to kill Lily. My current plan for this Echoing Truth is to use it to just, like, bounce my own True Name if, like, something goes wrong. Echoing Truth is currently my oh shit button. Alright, opponent finds Wasteland. So they'll cast Loam, you probably get back, like, Thicket, Waste, Grove. No, Thicket, Waste, Bayou, okay. Cycle that, that gives them, like, a real draw for turn. So now they'll Assassin's Trophy my Noble Hierarch. That's fine. Give the old Shufflerino there. Tarmogoyf is decent. It's big. I don't know how big, but big. Big enough. That's about the right answer. Note that this Tarmogoyf is not connecting in the near future due to Dryad Arbor. Oh man, opponent just milled over Ajani and Lily. Good news for Phil fans. So note, I can't actually Echoing Truth Dryad Arbor. That's not something that works. This is an awesome game. I'm gonna have to like direct the people in the four-color loam chat to this one later. Night. And that's gonna kill my opponent. So we Echoing Truth the Knight back to their hand and swing in for 10. Whew! Man. That's why we play Magic. Games like that. Yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better match there. Like, we were on the wrong side of the ropes in round one there. You know, variance got us when the opponent top decked the Emrakul after making a huge, huge misplay. But that was an awesome round two. I got a little lucky, but I think we played pretty well. It helps that I've been playing a lot of loam, so I didn't make a lot of the rookie mistakes that other people might make when playing against the deck. Oh, I loved that match versus Sneak and Show. It was awesome. All right. I'm going to take a minute to just use the bathroom before we go into the next one. That one was kind of intense. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy death and taxes. Today, we are playing four-color Cascade, aka Waterfalls. My opponent might be playing Death Shadow. All right, Merja asks, as a prolific D&T player, how do you find navigating the other side of the matchup? If you don't make mistakes, it's fine. If you make mistakes, it's super punishing. Like, my personal results with, like, against Loam are quite good, but the matchup as a whole is probably difficult. Oh, yeah, I know, like, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and lead on Island here so I can 100% try to Punishing Fire the Delver the next turn. The other thing I can do is just, like, aggressively try to Wasteland them, but I think I want to go big with my mana rather than, like, just try to, like, get an easy Gimp kill. I don't think I want to, like, play into Delver's plan. I also don't know if my opponent is, like, Grixis or RUG yet, and alright, so my opponent has a Daze now. So my Punishing Fire will get dazed if I cast it. But Punishing Fire getting dazed is actually not the worst. Or I could just play around Daze and ram out, like play Trop into Tarmogoyf this turn, let that get dazed. Although, like, playing out a Tarmogoyf when it's not bolt-proof yet is a little rough. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I can just play Wasteland and pass, and then my opponent can't really Wasteland me, and I can play around the Daze next turn. That's probably fine. Yeah, I'm gonna... That's a match that I might rewatch. It was really complicated, and there were a lot of decision points on both sides. That might be one where I can sit down and, like, look and see if I could have done some things better. Because I'm sure the answer is yes. I was a little unsure about my sideboarding in Game 1, or, like, Game 1 going into Game 2. Not because I don't know the deck, but because, like, I don't know this deck. Like, I know what the sorts of things I want to do against Loam, just not every little thing. So I know my opponent has Daze. I guess I can play around Daze by just wasting their Volcanic here. So I can waste Volcanic. Because if I just, like, try to cast something, like, if I try to cast Punishing Fire, my opponent can Wasteland me, which in response would cause me to Wasteland them, and then my card would be vulnerable to Daze, and I don't really want that. So let's Nug that. So one of our Volks is going to get junked this turn. And I actually think I'm going to fetch for one. We still don't know what my opponent's other color is, so if they're playing Stifle, getting one of these out of my hand now is probably a good idea. Let's try to Punishing Fire this Delver. I don't know that this is going to work. But we played around at least the counterspell we know they have. Alright, so our opponent wastes us. Do they have another land? They do have another land, but it is a wasteland. So we can play around that now. So I fetch for a forest. And I get to slam a Tarmogoyf. It is still somehow an itty-bitty Tarmogoyf. So if my opponent draws a land and can bolt, you know, my Tarmogoyf is going to die. But I am under the gun here, so I gotta do something. Oh, man, sweet, Lightning Bolt. Yes, Marja, I am currently accepting donation deck lists. So my thing is, I want to play real Legacy decks. Now, they can be fringe stuff, but I don't want, like, someone submitting their draft deck. But I am willing to explore the fringes of Legacy and play some sweet stuff. Look, I know my hatred of Merfolk is eventually going to make me have to play Merfolk. That's how that stuff works. But I have never turned away a deck yet. So that might tell you something. I think I've played something like 50 different decks on this stream now. Actually, that's not true. Since like PTA 25, I've played 50 different deck lists. So I've probably played way more different decks than that. Oh man, there's no question. I'd absolutely play Pox. That's like the sort of deck that is absolutely 100% in my wheelhouse. So I know that my opponent has a Daze. I was really trying to find something that could kill the Delver, but I didn't manage to do that, which is unfortunate. I can play a Tarmogoyf and then a Noble Hierarch and shuffle away some of this stuff, or I can just try to kill my opponent. I can hit them for 5 this turn and then very, very much have lethal next turn. I will die to Lightning Bolt. Oh wait, no, I have Grove of the Burnwillows. Fuck, I messed up this turn. Fuck. So I could have just gone, like, Grove, return, Punishing Fire, Delver, attack for 5, and then have, like, no way to die. Now I'll die to Bolt. I hope I didn't punt this one away. Alright. So I think I'm going to put back Tarn Elf. Attack in for 5. And then play Tarmogoyf and Noble Hierarch. Cheesehead, Oh, yeah, you're right, I didn't punt it away. That's why I didn't think of that, because, like, I had both Grove and Tarn in hand. Thank you. Thanks for pointing out that I was dumb for a second there. Alright, so I'll play a Goyf, and then I'll play a Hierarch, which my opponent could daze, but they have no reason to. Alright, so our opponent needs Lightning Bolt or Cantrip into Lightning Bolt. Those are the lines. Bah! Alright, I don't know that I messed up anywhere that game. Like, I could have not played around Wastelands and then, like, had red in play so I could take the Punishing Fire, blow up Delver line. Or if I had the Tarn in hand the previous turn, I could have... Alright, I'm not gonna sweat on it. So we still didn't see my opponent's second color, right? We just saw that, like, one volcanic island. So let's just assume I'm playing against Delvery stuff. Don't really want forces against them. Click trades. Is it Charm as removal? Yeah, I have low-ish speed right now. So it wouldn't surprise me if you are lagging a little bit. Sorry about that. I didn't notice before the stream started, or I would have reset everything. With like Abrades and Punishing Fires and Bolts and stuff, I think we're pretty well suited to fight Delver, though. I'm off one of my colors. I have a removal spell. I have 2 removal spells I can't cast.